Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 21 formation guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 4-3-3-5 variant, so with the false 9. This is obviously a very similar formation to how my team Liverpool like to play, so we're going to be doing a great breakdown of this formation vid today. If you do want to see any more, make sure you do let us know in the comments and drop a thumbs up while you're down there as well. It does massively help us out. So without further ado, this 4-3-3-5, this is a really nice formation. It's one of those formations that is really just very nice. It's always, for me, a really reliable formation. If I ever just want a formation just to change up, because sometimes it gets a bit boring playing the same formations all the time. So if you want to change up, this is one of those that I always like to go to. If I get offered this in draft, it's one I always take. It's a really good, simple, and quite an easy formation to use. Now, one of the things that everybody seems to struggle with in this game is the wingers, getting those wingers involved. So we've got Werner and Mane out there, and we do have that Heung-min Son as a centre midfielder. That is not ideal, but we will get into that in the instructions. So without further ado, going into my tactics. These were the tactics that I did like to settle on. Now, I ended up sticking with balance. Now, obviously, if a team like Liverpool, who do like to obviously play like a press on possession loss, for example, but I think playing on balance in this game is really, really good. I do think you can play on a press and be effective, but when you come up against higher quality opponents, playing on a press is a little, if you play against somebody who knows how to play against a press, it's not as effective. It's really effective against kind of lower quality opponents, but I like balanced because I like to use the D-pad team press tactic when I want to press, and that because that only allows you to press for maybe 10 in-game minutes. So I think that is a much more effective press, so I like to use that instead. The depth, I've gone for 6 on the depth. I've gone for a slightly higher line. Now that might be seen as a little bit crazy, but I think this is a formation that I like to have a lot of fun with. It's a formation that it's really, really good at creating chances, and part of that is because of this high line. Now, with this high line, you are going to give up some chances, especially if somebody's got some real quick speed players. So if you're maybe not as comfortable defending, if you do struggle with defending, which I know a lot of people do, a lot of people do struggle with defending. I struggle with defending as well, but I'm not too bad. I can, I do know how to read defenses and when people attack and stuff like that. So I can play a little bit higher and can kind of get away with it. Against the real top players, I do have to knock it back a little bit. So if you do struggle, you can maybe drop it back to 4 or 5, but I would say maybe try it on 6 and then work from there. Offensive style, this one was very, very interesting. This was probably the most interesting thing about this formation. Now, I liked fast build-up when I was the first couple of games I played with this. But again, I found that when I started to come up against like really good opposition, those spaces that fast build-up left was kind of a little bit trickier to defend because it was kind of a little bit more consistent, those spaces. But again, if you're playing against somebody who is maybe evenly skilled or slight or worse than you, fast build-up is great. It's when you start playing against people who are maybe slightly bit better than you. So I ended up settling on a long ball. Now, the one thing I dislike about long balls, especially since this post patch, is I've noticed that your back four and anyone who you've got defending really stays back, and your attackers really stretch the pitch. And it's just, that's the negative to this, is it does stretch the pitch quite a lot. It does leave your midfielders a little bit exposed, but I still think long ball is extremely effective, especially if you've got quick players up front. So I kind of didn't really have a preference with fast build up or long ball. I kind of think they're very, very equal, but they have different strengths. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend using long ball or fast build up. I would say maybe try which one you think suits you. I like the fast build up to begin with. I then settled on the long ball because I thought that just suited my play style a little bit better. But I would say experiment with those two and see which one you fancy. And then the rest of the stuff is all pretty standard. I like to go for about 6 on the offensive width. I do like to have a little bit more width. Again, this is a wing formation, so you do want to kind of play to the strengths. The strengths of the formations is that you do have wingers, so you do want to play to those strengths. But we obviously want to get those wingers involved. We don't want them to just stay out on the wing and not get involved, and we'll get into that in the instructions. Now, the rest of the team, 4 on players in the box. I don't like to have too many players in the box because I really dislike getting countered. It's just something that obviously a lot of people like to play counter-attacks in this game. So I don't like to have too many players getting in the box, just 1 or 2. And then corners and free kicks, I like to keep them on 1. I don't actually think this necessarily matters. I would actually maybe just recommend leaving them on 3. I've been trying them recently on 1 to kind of neutralize counter-attacks. I don't really know where your players go because they don't seem to ever really be back in their positions. They kind of all just seem to be at the edge of the box. They're not really back. They're not really in the box. So I would probably just keep them on 3. And then for the instructions, now obviously the back 4, as always, I like to keep them all on stay back while attacking. Obviously, we don't need these. I think at the start of the game, it was great to play these guys on balanced. I really enjoyed it. But I think as the game's gone on and there's the meta and things like that have been discovered, and obviously more people have got a lot more pacey players and that in their team, playing on balance is kind of not really a great viable option anymore. If you want to be really successful, it's not a super viable option. So stay back while attacking. It also helps out just having a better shape in defense. If you're someone who's struggling with defending, having stay back while attacking is just a better way to play. In terms of Sissoko as the DM, we got cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking cover center. The one thing that I did find about this formation that was a little bit tricky for me personally to adapt to is because I'm really adapted to using the 4-2-2. So I have 2 CDMs. So in this formation, only having 1 CDM was a little bit trickier to defend. I think that was probably the biggest thing with defensing in this formation. Maybe it wasn't even so much the fast build-up like we alluded to before. It was having 2 CDMs gives you really good protection, because having 2 CDMs, one DM can cover the right-hand side of the midfield and the other DM can cover the left-hand side of the midfield. Whereas when you only have 1 DM, he has to try and cover all sides. He has to cover the left, the center, and the right, and it's just very tricky to kind of pull him across the back 4. So having 1 DM is a little bit trickier. So if you do want to get around that problem, you can have one of your other center midfielders potentially on stay back while attacking as well, just to give you a little bit more cover if you are struggling defensively. For me, I like to go a little bit more attacking in this formation. That's kind of how I set it up. Now we've got De Bruyne, who I was actually lucky enough to pack yesterday, so I'm very, very lucky for that. And we've got Heung-min Son in there. Now, Heung-min Son's obviously not somebody I would recommend playing at centre mid. I'm just doing this video just for purpose. So I would recommend having someone similar to a Kevin De Bruyne. If you are somebody who wants to go with that stay back while attacking, then I would probably shift Kevin De Bruyne over to the left or the right and make the other player maybe my Alan card or someone like that. So really depends. I would maybe make the other midfielders, maybe someone like a Bruno Fernandes would be really good in this position. Kind of like an attacking midfielder, but he can defend a little bit, you know, but someone like that would be really good if you do want to play with 2 midfielders. So depends on what you want to play. If you want to play with a little bit more attacking, maybe get someone like Bruno Fernandes in here would be a great option for me. Or if I want to play a little bit more defensive, I can put someone like Alan in and then have like 2 CDMs if I like. The striker, Inaki Williams, this guy's a beast, by the way. We've got him on stay central and getting behind. Now, we don't need the getting behind instruction on if we're going to be playing long ball. I have it on getting behind because sometimes I will pause and flick between fast build up and long ball. So I just like to keep it on anyway, because if I'm on fast build up, then I'll need the getting behind on. But when I'm on long ball, I don't necessarily need it on. So I just kind of keep it on all the time. Now then, when we move on to the wide players, we've got Timo Werner and we've got Sadio Mane. Now, I've actually gone for free roam on these guys. Now, I do like the cut inside instruction. I do think that is very, very effective. So if you are somebody who would like to just get a little bit more clarity in the attacking third, cut inside is great because your wingers do make those real darting runs in between kind of the centre back and the right back, or the centre back and the left back. They do make some really great runs. But I found the free roam instruction was really, really effective. They don't necessarily make as great a runs like the cut inside. The cut inside, they make really good darting runs in behind. The free roam just allows them to pick up some very tricky positions. So it depends kind of how you like your midfielders to be, your wingers, sorry, to be involved. If you want them to be in position to score more goals, go for cut inside. If you want them to kind of just be more involved in the play, if you're someone like me, I like to play like a quick tiki-taka style. So free roam just allows them to have a more neutral position. So that's the way I like to go, and it depends on how you like to go for yourself. But that is it for this 4-3-3-5. This is a great formation. I wouldn't necessarily say it is a super meta formation, but I would say it is a great formation. It is really fun. I was creating lots and lots of chances with this formation. Really easy to score goals, and it was just super, super fun. It was nice to use a different formation. So if you do want to use this, let me know in the comment section how it goes for you. If you've got any other questions about this formation that you want answering, do put them down there as well. Make sure you subscribe if you do enjoy the content and you would like to see more. But that is all today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.